Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. I hope you're all well who's listening. And yes, I'm delighted to be finally back hosting, is what I've been looking forward to doing. And I'm back again, so hopefully this show goes well. I haven't done this in like 4 weeks. My co host, John, he's been holding the fort and he's done a fantastic job. How are you, John?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, and I obviously appreciate all you guys keeping this podcast going. And we have a show regular. William, how are you, William?
I'm very well, mate. The big Ange positivity train is choo-chooing along, and my big mucker's back in the hot seat hosting, so all's well in the world again.
All is well indeed. Fresh off a night out with the boys, a win against Hearts, and a fantastic win yesterday against AZ Alkmaar in the Europa League. And it was 2-0. Kyogo scored and James Forrest. I mean, you can debate if it was an own goal or not, but it was fantastic play nonetheless. But we'll get stuck straight into the game itself. Come to yourself, William, first. I mean, I thought the first half, maybe the first 10, 15 minutes, it took us a while to settle into a rhythm, settle into a kind of flow of play. But after that, I think he said Alkmaar didn't really know what to do with us. I thought we were high pressing again. And granted, there was a few chances that they created. Joe Hart made a fantastic save with his foot, went onto the post. I thought that was brilliant. But what was your overall take of the game and the types of performances you were seeing? You said there the Ange train is choo-chooing along. It certainly is, isn't it?
It's definitely is. I thought we were absolutely tremendous. This, I don't know how we keep managing it and keeping it up with this high press and attacking. I've never in all my days seen Celtic play with such an attacking intent as we are now. I thought that the lads were exceptional. Like you say, we rode our luck a bit defensively. There's a few that Starfelt was giving me the fear most of the night. To be honest, he looked a bit nervous on the ball at times, but that's the only negative I could pick out the game. Joe Hart was immense in goals. I thought Rogic was unbelievable in the first half. I thought everything went through him. He's got the magic feet back again, and he's holding players. He's just shrugging players off the ball. I thought he was absolutely immense. Turnbull again covered every blade of grass. I thought the fullbacks were both excellent. Ralston in particular, I've got to hold my hands up. I was Ralston's biggest critic, but he's been absolutely phenomenal. Talmac, as usual, the leader in the middle of the park, was superb. Kyogo's movement, as usual, fantastic. I mean, you can't say any more superlatives for all the guys. From a few months ago until now, it's night and day. And the fact that we're going into this game, I was expecting, and I know they're a good side, as the first 15 minutes showed, we were a bit under the cosh, like you said, Stephen. But then I thought we just put them to the sword again. We rode a lot, but I thought we could have scored 3, 4, 5 goals. When we're in full flow, we're just electric, and it's just fantastic to watch just now. Just excited, like Ross says. Every time a game finishes, you're just sitting excited, waiting for the next one to come along.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into the player side of things, but just obviously talking about the performance, like you said, William, it was brilliant. It's been the best football we've played in years, like, to be honest, even far back as Brendan Rodgers when he was his kind of first season in charge, that kind of thing. And you said Starfelt, he did give me the fear as well. There was times he was too slow to the ball, he was getting nutmegged, and he was losing his player. But hopefully that comes within a few games and he starts to get his rhythm and playing in the Postecoglou style of things. But coming to yourself, John, as William said there, he kind of summed that up brilliantly. But what was your overwhelming take of the game?
Yeah, I mean, William did sum up pretty much perfectly, and I don't really know if there's much else I can add to that that's any different. I agree with everything you said. I thought the boys were fantastic. It did take us, like you said, took us about 10-15 minutes to sort of settle in and sort of take control of the game. And that Joe Hart save, where it caught the end of his foot and he touched onto the post and managed to get it, was a massive moment, because it could have been drastically different had that went in. So I thought we were fantastic. They showed as well, though, that they're a decent side. But as William mentioned, they didn't know what to do with us. They didn't look like they could really cope when we were pressing them. We kind of let the foot off the gas a wee bit towards the end of the second half. Allowed them to sort of take control of the game a wee bit. But again, they still had flashes. We just, what I'm loving about this Celtic team at the minute is it's non-stop. And it was like, if you go right back to that first mic'd up session with Ange when he was doing the training, and he was saying it's non-stop. You stop when the whistle goes half-time, whistle goes full-time. And that's the way it's been, and that's the way it's looked. And I mean, obviously, you can't, against teams in Scotland will dominate possession, they bother. But that's a much higher level of opposition, and obviously they're going to get their chances and they're going to take their chances. And if you're no switched on, then they'll punish you. But I thought we were absolutely fantastic, and seeing the likes of Hart as well, sort of commanding his back line, bringing the boys in, with Calmac, getting instructions for Ange and then passing them on as well, I thought was fantastic. He's imparting his experience as well, and it shows Ange obviously has a lot of trust in Hart. And it's just the mere that, as William said, this train is just in full flow at the minute, and it's just gaining momentum, and it's incredible. I'm loving it.
It is, and you made a brilliant point about Joe Hart and what you've been doing, John, while you've been hosting the show. You've been kind of focusing on player performances, and I'm actually loving that. So we're going to keep with that tonight, this evening. So I'm going to focus on a couple of players from different positions. But first of all, I want to start with Joe Hart, William. And I think John makes a brilliant point. And I have to kind of say, when we signed him, I wasn't for it. I just wasn't for it. I was never keen on Joe Hart. I was never his biggest fan. And especially when Fraser Foster was in his first spell, towards the end of it anyway, I always thought he was the better keeper. It should have been England's number one. But again, the snobbery towards the Scottish game. But Joe Hart, while he's been at Celtic, I know it's early days, he's kind of, I've warmed to him. I'm liking what I'm saying. There was a point in that game where he went to Postecoglou for instructions, and Joe Hart sprints over to Callum McGregor, basically grabs him by the scruff of the neck, and he's telling him what the manager's saying. What's your opinion of Joe Hart? Do you think he's settling that defence at the moment?
Definitely. I was a big fan of the move when it was rumoured it was happening, and not so much because of his ability and his playing side, but because of that, his leadership. I think even at Man City, when you had the guys like Company and that, he was always one that was a big communicator and a big leadership figure. When I seen him run the full half of the park to see Ange take the instructions and go to Calmac, I don't know whether he's seen Ange try to flag somebody down or Calmac down, or he's just took it upon himself, but I thought it was absolutely just a touch of class. He seems like he's definitely helping Calmac in that role, and he's definitely up there with him. I think if there was a vice captaincy, I think Forrest took the armband the other night, but if there was another guy that's the main man that can stand up and lead these players, I think he's definitely one to look for. Also, I was talking about his leadership skills, but his ability, that save was absolutely fantastic, and for me that was a turning point in the game. They were really on top of us at that point, and he made that save. It kind of got the crowds going, and then after that we were in sixth gear for the remainder of the half and absolutely pummeled them, in my opinion. So that save was a big turning point, and he's doing the things that he should be doing. So he's making saves that he should be making, but because we're so used to the likes of Barkas in recently, and they're not doing the simple things, it's just a breath of fresh air. And he's definitely buying into this, being higher up the park and playing, being a ball playing keeper. He's we've seen it ourselves because we were at the game at the weekend, and you could see how high up the park he was, and he's screaming for the ball, and it's as if he's an extra centre half in there sometimes. So he's buying into it. Everything he said when he first joined the club, he's proven now, and I think it's just been an absolutely wonderful signing. I know we're in early doors, but he's been superb for the club so far.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you make a great point. He's making big saves and big moments, isn't he, really? And you look at the types of save. That one, the reaction save, the foot that tipped the ball on the post by his feet, it was brilliant. He's grabbing the ball, he's throwing it, he's releasing it, and he was quite publicly called out before by Guardiola. Now, we all know he's the god of all managers, so he's going to find an issue of everything in regards to kind of playing football, John. But as Joe Hart kind of proved himself at Celtic, that people say about the atmosphere, about the expectation, but he did play with City, and he won leagues and stuff, and I came to you guys, and I didn't really want him at Celtic, but he's proved me wrong so far. What's your opinion of him at the minute?
Well, firstly, the atmosphere between us and the City is night and day. Don't
Yes,
compare
no,
it with-
no. I didn't mean like that. I mean
No,
that
but
he's
you're
been
right.
in
I
a
know,
league
I'm
winning,
just,
league winning.
aye, he's been there and he's played at the highest level. He's an internationalist, and we knew when he was coming in. Granted, he didn't have the sort of, he wasn't like first team, and he kind of sort of fell by the wayside a bit. And that was a worry for a lot of fans. And I think there was definitely concerns, like you mentioned it as well. I think that it was a concern for yourself that he's not played. But like I pointed out before as well, as we've spoken about, remember Gordon was the same. And he came in and done an absolute job for us, a perfect job. And I think Hart's definitely moving in that direction. We know how much experience he's got, like William touched on, his ability to take leadership and like command his back line, and he's getting involved. He's helping Kalmak. He's going up. He's talking to Ange. He's getting instructions. He's relaying information. He's using his experience, and he's coming into this sweeper keeper role really well. I think he's playing the part. He's doing what he's asked to do, and he's not put a foot wrong. And I think that as fans as well, but the players in front of him, I've got confidence they've got a keeper, an experienced and talented keeper between the sticks now, and that will help them, their confidence, and they'll be able to take a wee bit more. They'll be able to do a little bit more in terms of getting forward and everything else. Whereas I don't think they would have had that with being in Barkas. They would have probably been a wee bit wary about going so high, pressing so high up the park, and not protecting the keeper, because the keeper can't protect himself. And being in Barkas was shocking. Let's be honest. But with Hart, I don't think they have that. It's like they've got faith in him. He's got faith in his defence, his players around about him, and it's like you can see it. Like William says, the way that they're pressing and how high up he's actually getting, and he's like William says, he's screaming for the ball. He wants the ball at his feet. He seems comfortable with the ball at his feet. He's not just making any stupid. He's not just kicking it for the sake of kicking it and stuff like that. It's like he's actually taking his time and making decisions and everything else. So I think he's been a fantastic signing, and I think he's going to be probably, if like, I know we've got Kyogo and we'll probably touch on him, but I think Hart could prove to be probably one of the most important signings we've made this season.
Yeah, and obviously one of the most important components in front of Hart is the defence, and we'll look at some players there. Now, Ralston had a fantastic game. He made that, that tackle when the ball was flying into the box, and he comes out of nowhere, clears it away. You look at Greg Taylor, you made a great point in the group chat today, John. His work rate, fantastic, but again, he lacks a wee bit in terms of final ball. That's clear for people to see. But one guy I want to focus on with you guys is Carl Starfelt, right? I mean, William touched upon it at the start of the show, that he did kind of give me the fear last night. And I'll come to yourself, William, about him first. Now, I can see there's all the traits in Starfelt of being a good, solid defender. He doesn't look the quickest. He doesn't look like he can kind of turn on a sixpence and chase a striker or close someone down quickly. I noticed that against Hearts as well. He was always last to the ball. The striker was beating him to the ball. But when he's in his area, he defends it really well. We've seen that when the corner kicks. But what's your opinion on him so far as a Celtic player? I know it's fourth game, if I'm correct, in terms of competitive football with us. Is he impressing you at the minute?
Not really, to be honest with you. I feel like pretty much every game that he's played for us so far, he's made at least one mistake that's led to a proper goal scoring chance, which is not great. Obviously, it's early days. I think you're right. He's great at commanding the area, commanding his box. I just felt like he made that mistake early on, and then after that, he was, every time the ball came to him, you could see he was just incredibly nervous. He was just trying to get rid of it. As soon as it came to him, which I know Ange's want to play this fast pace 1 or 2 touch football, but it's not as if he looked comfortable on the ball. And let's face it, he got nutmegged more times than Jim Leighton did his whole career, and he was only playing fucking first half. So he was giving me the fear. But to be fair, Welsh alongside him's looking absolutely immense, and he looks like the elder statesman, and he's the one that's dragging the young boy through. So I think they're forming a decent partnership, and I'm hoping with games to come that he is going to settle in and be a bit more confident. I think you're right, and with the style that we play, that like a ball over the top, and he's not the quickest, so getting back is a struggle. But I'm wanting to give him the benefit of the doubt at the moment, and he's only just in the door, so let's see how he goes. But the rest of the defence were absolutely immense for me last night. Ralston was, and like you say, that tackle, the ball was coming in, he came in for the back post and he slid for about 40 metres away and still won the ball. It was unreal. And Greg Taylor's work rate's superb. I agree with his, I'm a big defender of Greg Taylor in this podcast, and but I've never said that he's the world's best left back, but he never ever fails to give less than 100%. He might not be what we all want, but he gives his all every time. And I loved his interview at half time. I don't know if you've seen it, and they were talking about the gaffer's philosophy and how he's playing, and they said, he was down the left and he was playing centre midfield at some points, and then he was away at right back at some points. And Greg Taylor says, listen, it's not. He doesn't tell us to position ourselves. He just wants us to be fluid, and where there's space, there's space. So if I feel there's space in centre midfield, I'll go there. If I feel it's out wide, I'll go there too. And I just think the whole back line was immense, although Starfelt was one for one.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I wanted to focus on Starfelt is just because he's obviously the new guy coming in from Ruby Kazan for about £3 million. And at the moment, in my honest opinion, like yourself, he hasn't justified that transfer fee. Now, people may obviously say that it's 4 competitive games, that kind of thing. And I do agree with that. But at the end of the day, he needs to show kind of glimpses, John, of what he can do. And me and William said he is great at commanding his box, but anything outside that box, he seems shaky. What's your opinion of him at the minute?
I still think it's far too early to sort of pass judgment, and I think it's a bit harsh to be so critical of the guy at the minute, because if you actually take into account, he's done more good than he has bad. And the problem that we have as fans is we're very, very critical of players when they make a mistake, and that's what we remember them for. But if you look at the bigger picture, for me, he's done more. He's been solid in defence and other areas, like he says, when he's in the box. We've been missing a guy in the box as well for set pieces. It's something we've been missing. He commands that area very well. Granted, when he's playing a little higher up and he's outside the box, he'll be playing a style of football he's not completely familiar with yet, and he'll still be adjusting and getting used to the style of play as well. And not just in terms of the tactics that Ange wants to play, but the actual pace and the sort of physicality of the Scottish game. But I thought last night, barring the mistake where he got nutmegged, as you've alluded to, and the boy came through, I thought that by and large he done all right. It wasn't I wouldn't say it was a shocking game. He had a decent game. I thought he looked far more comfortable when he swapped with Welsh and moved to the right of the centre of defence. He certainly seemed to be more comfortable there, and he's a right-footed player anyway, so I don't see why he's been touted as a left centre-back when he's a dominantly right. Like I'd very rarely see him do anything with his left foot. He seems to be a dominantly right-footed player, and he certainly seemed more comfortable on that side. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see him there going forward, because Welsh looks like he's a little bit more diverse and he can play there. And by the way, Welsh has been phenomenal for us. We said it last year. He was one of the sort of bright lights in an otherwise dark season. He was one of the ones where we always had praise for him, because he's been chucked in. Young boy's been chucked in. An abysmal season by all accounts. And he's been absolutely superb. And he's just grown and grown as a player. And it's fantastic to see. And by the way, I know we're all sort of eager for Julian to get back. But it's like, for me, Julian, if he performs well in training and he's back and stuff like that, Starfelt's the man you're drafting for me, because Welsh, again, hasn't put a foot wrong. And until it does, then I don't see why he should be dropped automatically. And the same goes for Ralston, by the way. I know that this Juranovic is expected to be signing, tomorrow? Or today, if you're listening to it on Friday, because we record it on the Thursday. I need to keep remembering that. But so today, Juranovic is expected to sign, if he hasn't already been announced. And again, he shouldn't have walked straight into this team. Like, I know he's a Croatian international and everything else, but Ralston hasn't put a foot wrong either. And the fact that we've now got 2 right backs who are going to be competing for that position is great, and it only benefits us. But as it stands at the minute, until Ralston makes an arse of it and until he does something wrong, there's no reason why you should drop him. He's on form, he's playing confidently. Like, taking him out and throwing in a new guy might not work, And then
No.
you could potentially, Ralston could potentially, this performance could drop or he could fall off, lose confidence, whatever the case may be. But for me, Ralston has to be our number one right back at the minute going forward. And I know, like you're saying, Juranovic on paper is sort of like he's a Croatian international. He's a fantastic player by all accounts. But I didn't see any reason to drop Ralston at the minute, because for me, he's been absolutely phenomenal. And the game against Alkmaar on Wednesday was incredible. I thought he was man of the match for me. And he was absolutely, he was a machine. He was just non-stop up and down the right side of the pitch, making tackles out of nowhere. Like it was just a phenomenal performance for me. And I just briefly touching on Taylor, I've not been shy about saying it. I don't think he's the right guy for us going forward. Unlike, it's difficult because I love his work rate and the engine he's got. He's non-stop. He's up and down the left side of that pitch non-stop. But it's his final ball for me. And that can, if he's going to spend the majority of his time in the sort of final third, and you're looking for somebody to be able to sort of whip a cross in or you need somebody better, because he's not the guy for me. And I'll hold my hands up. He's work rate and everything else, and he does a decent job defensively. But we need him in the final third as well. And if you look at it, who have we got at left side? We've got Montgomery, who he looks decent. He's still a young guy, but he's not done enough to be able to prove himself for me. And Bolingoli's nowhere to be seen. So you got to wonder, is he just no cutting it in training, or is he just whatever the case is? But as it stands, Taylor's your only guy you've got at left back. Montgomery for me is going to be able to cut. If Taylor gets injured or anything like that, who have you got?
Can I just jump in for a second? See, I was wanting to jump in earlier, but John just kept going on like a British one in there. But see just to get back, because I know Stephen likes a bit of debate and disagreement. So see with the Starfelt case, the Starfelt, right? I totally agree with you. It's early doors, and I'm not ousting him. I'm not saying like we should drop him or get rid of him and get a new person in, right? But you're saying he's done more good than bad, right? Like I said, I feel like almost every game he's made a mistake that's either cost us a goal or almost cost us a goal. You've got like the Jablonec one where it was the long ball upfield. I know it's not completely his fault. It's down the middle of the two centre halves, right? But if he's your big experienced commanding centre half, he should have that away. That was a disgraceful goal to lose, and it's not all down on him, but he was a big part of that, right? Then we've got the Hart situation where the penalty. I know he's discussed it, and you've said like I know he should, but for me he shouldn't be taking a touch or whatever. He should be getting that out, and even then he should be more aware of who's around about him. There's another one. There's the other night where the guys, let's face it, the boys should have scored for Alkmaar. These are big mistakes. They're not just like they're not just like and you're saying about him last night. I just thought every time the ball came to him, and he's only playing a 5-yard pass along to Welsh, and it seems like his feet were dancing on the spot because he was that nervous to get rid of it as soon as it came to him. So for me at the moment, I'm like, I'm yet to be convinced. Now I'm not saying drop him, oust him, but for me it's not a matter of like oh well he's going to be your best centre half going forward. I just feel like he's.
I think as well, William. I mean, John is right in what he says. Obviously, it's 4 games, but again, you have to call out what you see, and I totally agree with what you're saying, William. I have to be honest, and I think John as well.
What you've done though is you've effectively proved my point. Because what I said to you earlier is, as fans, we're very critical of players, and we remember mistakes more than we remember everything else. But he played for 90 minutes, and we're calling out one mistake he made against Alkmaar. Granted, you're saying he looked a bit shaky with his pass.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The whole game, I never said it was just that one mistake. He looked nervous as hell the whole game.
He might have looked nervous, but did he? Other than that one where he got nutmegged and the player got through,
he got beat a few times.
But players get beat.
I know.
What I'm saying is that the games that he's played, and remember, it has only been a handful of games, and he's still adjusting and everything else. Like I've said, I'm not going to say, oh, he should get a bye or we should just forget about the fact he's made mistakes, because we shouldn't, because the mistakes can cost you games, and I get that. But ultimately, if you look at the bigger picture, for me anyway, and this is just my opinion, I've seen more about him to say that there is a decent defender in there than to say there's no, personally. And like I say, it's when he's made some fantastic, like actually against Alkmaar on Wednesday, he made a few really important tackles in the box when they were pressing us high. When he switched out to the right.
Said that.
No, but this is what I'm saying. It's like nobody's calling out these important tackles that he's making and everything else. Where if he'd have made an arse of them, it could have cost.
But the important tackles are the tackles that you're expecting to be making.
Right, but this is what I'm saying. It's like because he's expected to make them, nobody's like, you're not looking at them and you're not going, by the way, that was a good tackle, that was a good tackle. You're going, you just remember that one mistake he made.
So if every time somebody hits a shot straight at Joe Hart and he saves it, I should be saying, oh, that's a good save. This is my point. He's doing other stuff that he is meant to be doing, but he's thrown in these mistakes.
I think you're missing that point, but that's fine.
Welsh's block last night was due to his mistake as well. I'm not saying that we should, like I said to you, but I've seen more things that make me worry. If we're going into Derby Day and he makes that one mistake and we get beat, then I'm like, right, okay.
Right, that's time to move on from the defence, right, guys? Right, we'll move into the engine room, and obviously Callum McGregor, Turnbull, Rogic, but I want to focus on our Wizard of Odds, Tom Rogic. John, I'll come to yourself first. And for me, again, as William said, another fantastic performance. He just seems rejuvenated. He seems back to the Rogic we all know and love. He's taking the ball, he's taking players on, finding passes here and there. And he's just absolutely fantastic in a minute. And another thing that I'm noticing too, I don't know about yourselves, but his work rate is fantastic. He looks like he has another engine in him. But I know obviously towards the end of the game he did tire. But I mean, for the first 70 minutes, he was all over that pitch. He was dictating the play. The fantastic ball into Kyogo for his goal was just phenomenal. What was your opinion of him in the game?
I thought he was absolutely fantastic as well, mate. And that, like you say, he's actually doing more work now and doing more running than he ever did. And there was a lot of talk about before Ange came in, like we were all praising Rodgers for making players that were already in the team better. And Rogic had fantastic time under Rodgers, and then he kind of fell off, and a lot of people were kind of on his back saying he's done, it's time for him to go. But then Ange has come in, and then under Ange, he's revitalised him. You're seeing the best of Rogic again. And I know, again, it's still early days, and there's still a long way to go, but as it stands at the minute, if he can keep that sort of level of stuff up, then it's fantastic for us, because we know how good Rogic is. And when he's playing like that, the guy's untouchable. See with the ball at his feet, it just looks like he's dancing. It's incredible to watch. And it just looks like it doesn't matter what he does, he'll get by anybody. Nobody can take the ball off him when he's in full flow. And again, it was against Hearts, and again last night he was absolutely phenomenal. And I think I'd say just before we scored the goal, we were talking about his performance, like up until that point, we couldn't, just how good he looks and how good he is with the ball at his feet. And then we got that first goal, and so I mean it's hard to say anything negative about Rogic at the minute. And same with Kalmak, he's been phenomenal since Ange's come in. He's taken the captain's armband. He's been the guy, one of the main guys in the engine room, and he's working his heart out as well. And I'm loving it, mate. I'm loving it.
I think we're all loving it. But coming to yourself, William, I hope you took a wee breath and relaxed there a wee minute. But I mean, Tom Rogic, he is fantastic, and like we're all saying, he seems to have found another gear. He seems to be running more. He seems to be putting the yards in. He's even putting tackles in and tracking back, which is something you never actually associate with him. And what I always noticed was with Postecoglou, when he was Australian manager and things, he always had kind of Rogic as the focal point of his team, of the press, of how they played, and he fits into that style. Has that come across to yourself watching the games?
Definitely. I didn't see how he could fit the style with the fact that we all know his history and only lasts about 60 minutes a game. So if you're talking about like a high intensity press, I could never ever see him doing that, but he is. The first half last night, he was absolutely electric. Everything we did good going forward came through big sexy Tom Rogic. I mean, he had 2 and 3 players around him and he just dances out of it. His feet are better than John Travolta on Saturday Night Fever, man. He just gets out of position, and you know the old saying, he could find space in a telephone box with Gemma Collins. That's how good he is. He could even find space in a telephone box with Gemma Collins. That's how good he is. And for the goal, he was going. When he first received the ball, he's going nowhere. And it's moments like that win games. And for him to turn and play an unbelievable ball, and it was just Tom Rogic of old. I think he's been absolutely immense, and I think if you told me a few weeks ago that he would be in, he'd be starting most games, I don't think I would have, because of the way it was set up. And Calmac was playing that more number 8 role when he was getting forward. And we discussed it in the podcast. I think it was actually Ross that said it weeks ago, that the thought of putting Calmac in the number 6 and playing like Turnbull and Rogic or Turnbull and Christie in there even. And at the time I was like, you'll lose so much of Calmac if you do that. But he's been absolutely immense in that role, and he's let Rogic do his thing. So I don't think you can dislodge anybody for that midfield three. And Rogic was, for me, I agree with John. I think Ralston maybe would have picked man of the match, but Tom Rogic was not far behind. He was absolutely electric. And by the way, see when he comes off, that's the last few games when he's coming off. I don't even think he looks. I think he could last the 90 if he'd let him. Just superb, running out of superlatives on him. He's absolutely immense.
Yeah, he has been fantastic. And William, I don't know where you came with all them comments, but oh my god, they were on point. I mean, Tom Rogic, he is like a dancer, isn't he? Could you imagine if he had blister and pace? He'd be up there, like he'd be up there. But now we're going to go to the strikers. Okay, we're going to focus on the man of the moment, Kyogo Furuhashi. I mean, this guy is on.
See, just before we do that, Stephen, you need to give a shout out to Turnbull as well, because he was getting a bit of slack early days, but the past 2 or 3 games, man, he's been phenomenal as well.
I know that, but I wanted to focus on Rogic. Relax yourself, John.
I'm just saying, you're saying we're moving on to the strikers. I'm just pointing out, it's like we need to give a shout out to Turnbull, because he's been absolutely phenomenal the past few games.
I agree. Turnbull has been fantastic, but I kind of want to narrow it down to a couple of players to speak about before we move on. But I thought Rogic was just immense last night. That's why I kind of focused on him. But David Turnbull, last couple of games, immense. I mean, the whole midfield, as you guys are saying, it's the engine room. Calmac playing that 6th role, Turnbull dropping deep, getting the ball going forward, and Rogic just kind of finishing it off. It's just brilliant to watch. And I want to talk about Kyogo Furuhashi now, guys. And this guy, I mean, he does fantastic. 6 goals in 6 games, or 6 and 5, whatever it is, William. He's just lit the place on fire, hasn't he?
Unbelievable. His movement just... I cannot believe he's not been snapped up before now, because his movement is just... Like, see that goal, the goal against Alkmaar? Edouard's not scoring that goal, because he's never making that run in a million years. Last year, he's not making these runs to near posts and back posts. I don't know if you've seen it. I seen a clip, because I never noticed it at the game, the Hearts game, and somebody's hit the free kick, and he's just made a run that you would never ever think the ball's going to land up there in a million years, but he's just made this run, and it just so happens the ball came off the wall and landed right next to him. His awareness is unbelievable, and I can't remember the last time I've seen a player with the spatial awareness is good, and the runs he makes up. It must be a dream. See, for Rogic especially, it must be a dream for him to be beating a man and coming through it and just looking ahead and seeing. He doesn't even need to make the decision, because Kyogo makes it for him already. He knows where he's going to go. It's just, I cannot say enough about the young man. He just looks, and like Stephen, you always say, it just puts a smile on your face. See, whenever he's celebrating, and he's humble as they come. I think he got announced man of the match in the stadium last night, and he's sitting clapping and nodding away as if to say, like, I appreciate it, thanks very much. What a player we've got. Unbelievable.
I mean, it's mad to think. I know I said this in the last show when it was on. Like he was being fed balls by Andreas Iniesta, the king of through balls. And as William said there, John, he's a breath of fresh air. He's so humble. Yeah. He just loves playing for Celtic. That's what it seems like at the minute. And he's scoring goals for fun. And he's going to torture defenders, isn't he?
No, definitely. We say that. I mean, we've been saying it pretty much every episode before we signed him. He is absolutely phenomenal, and he's exciting to watch as well. Like, see, if you watch him off the ball, like William said, his movement. I can't mind the last time I've seen anybody move like that. He is a nightmare for defenders, because you don't know what he's going to do, and there's no way reading him. But he puts himself in positions where, like William said again perfectly, he's making decisions for the players. And not just that, it's like they are getting to a point now where they can hit a through ball like that, and then Kyogo might be on the end. Like, you've got the confidence that you've got a player there who is going to go on the end of it, or going to make an attempt to go on the end of it. And then that's just like you say, the attacking side of things, he's defending for the front as well. Like, let's not forget, anytime his work rate is, like, we're talking about Taylor's work rate, right? But Kyogo's non-stop. Like, he just seems to chase every ball. He's running back. He's helping in defence. He's closing people down at the top end of the park, and he's letting them. He's not letting them out. And honestly, I'm just loving the wee guy. Like, honestly, there's not enough positive things I can say about him at the minute. And like he says, his attitude and everything else, it's infectious, and you can't help but smile when you see him.
You know what's amazing about his goal scoring record as well? He only plays 60 minutes a game.
Aye, there's
Very
that.
true. Very
He
true.
gets hooked off after 60, 70 minutes every game, and he's still scoring goals for fun.
Aye, and I read the other day as well that I know we're only a couple of games into the season, but he now leads the goal scoring charts in 2 leagues in the one season.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, I know, like, Japan was obviously well into their season when we got him, but he was leading it then, and he's leading it now, and he's going to finish top goal scorer this year. I don't think there's anybody that would really argue with that. He doesn't look like he's going to be quieting down any time, and barring, and I'm not even going to say it. I don't even want to jinx it, but he looks absolutely phenomenal, and I think it's not just that, man. He brings a new element of excitement. There was people when we went to the game. William, you might even remember this, but there was guys talking about, like, and we were even saying it on the way through to the Hearts game. It's like, just going to see Kyogo. He's a draw in his own. Like, he's becoming a draw himself, and it's like people are want to go to games now just to see him play. And honestly, it's really, really exciting. And what a signing he's been.
He's fantastic, and I think as well that the amount of Japanese flags flying about Celtic Park now does speaks volumes of what the support really think of Kyogo Furuhashi. He's a fantastic player, and I just hope that for years to come he puts on that green and white shirt and tortures defences and tears them apart. And what I want to move on to now is the most important of them all: Celtic's 12th man, the supporters, finally back in stadiums after over nearly 2 years, basically being out of stadiums, 18 months, whatever it is. And it's fantastic to see. When I was at the Hearts game, when they were singing "You'll Never Walk Alone," I had a wee tear in my eye. I have to admit, I did have a wee tear in my eye because it gave me goosebumps, and it always did give me goosebumps. But just hearing it again with a full stadium, William, is fantastic. Watching it on the TV last night on that stream I paid for, and it dropped out 15 minutes in. But here, I won't complain about it. But it was just fantastic. It was fantastic to see the supporters back at full voice, and there seems to be a connection again, albeit might not be with the top level in terms of the board, but definitely between the Celtic fans and the players. Can you see that as well?
100%. Angie's got the team playing the Celtic way. It's the football we all want to see. I'm quite happy. I don't know about you guys. I'm quite happy to concede 3 goals a game as long as we're scoring 4 and 5. So it's the football you want to watch. And in the commentary last night, John Hartson and because Guy Mowbray was commentating, and I think it was the first time he commentated for us on Celtic TV, and John Hartson was trying to explain to him, and Guy Mowbray was like, "Listen, I know the football that he's been playing. Everybody's talking about it, and it's just the best fans in the world, isn't it? It doesn't matter what game it was recently. I know everybody's glad to be back in the stadium, but the noise they make is just unbelievable, and that's definitely a factor in how the team plays as well. Like you touched on it, Stephen, in the last pod at the Hearts game, Kyogo got up and just kind of gave a wave to the fans as if to say, geeing them up, and the noise was incredible. You're bang on, the 12th man, and I think, I know a while back they were talking about Neil Lennon coming in his first tenure, and it was talking about Bring the Thunder. Well, Angie's definitely brought the Thunder back.
Yeah, and you can feel that. I mean, as a supporter watching it, it's fantastic. The football is unbelievable. And kind of when you're conceding goals and stuff, if you know that you're going to win the game by 5 or 6 and it's 6-2 or whatever, you can kind of accept that, John. But what's your opinion seeing the supporters back? It was emotional for me. How was it for you?
I love it, mate. There's nothing like our support, and whether you're watching it on TV or you're at the game, it's like you'll never experience anything like it. And it's been sorely missed, and I think you can see the sort of energy it gives the players as well. And I think that was obviously one of our biggest downfalls last year. Was the fact that ultimately you can play the entire season with no fans, but you can see the difference they make. And like William perfectly touched on, it's like Ange just brought this exciting, attacking, fluid football that's exciting to watch. It's electric to watch. That plays its part as well, getting the fans in full voice. The fans getting in full voice has a knock-on effect and gets the players even drawing more energy at the players and getting them working even harder. It's just, I'm loving it, mate. And like I said, there's nothing like it. Like I think it was watching the game last night. Like I think you touched on, Guy Mowbray was up commentating with Hartson, and like he's I don't know if it's the first time he's ever commented on a Celtic game at Celtic Park, but it obviously the 67 thing with the lights and this everybody in song, and he even mentioned that like Hartson was trying to explain to him what that was, but it was just you could hear it, and like that guy Mowbray was just like taking it back. He was like, "Wow, what a sight!" And it is. There's no fans like it. I think we're the greatest fans in the world.
Yeah, without doubt. And I also had to say, by the way, I thought Guy Mowbray did a fantastic job commentating. I thought he was.
He did.
He was
Yep.
good.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, he was fantastic on Celtic TV. But here, moving on, the transfers and the incomings and outgoings and things. Obviously, just briefly, there's been a few rumours going about that Celtic have agreed a fee with Fivi Velo for the Greek striker Georgios. I'm not going to even pronounce the second name because I'll mess that up straight away. But apparently, that's £2.5 million being agreed there. Also, the Croatian, Yarakonic or something, Yarakonic, the right back. He's meant to be coming in. That's meant to be agreed. It's meant to be finalised Friday. His medical stuff. The fee's been agreed with Legia Warsaw, and already their coach has kind of said he's leaving. And then a young boy from Shamrock Rovers, Liam Scales, he plays left back or centre back. That's meant to be agreed for 500 grand as well. So, come to yourself, John. First, what's your opinion of the possible incomings to Celtic? Do you think it kind of fills an urgent gap in the squad?
Yeah, definitely. We know that the right back's been one we've been screaming for before the season even started. So it's good that we're getting an experienced player in. And like I said, he's got a fight in his hands because Ralston's not getting up the jersey easily. And knowing that we're going to have two quality people in that position fighting for the jersey means that Ange not only has that, but he has the option of rotation as well. And I think this boy, Juranovic, he can play in the right side of midfield as well. So it just gives him another option, and it's just good to have somebody else in that side. The other striker, I don't think Ange is keen on a Yeti. I don't think a Yeti's going to fit in with the plans going forward. He hasn't really featured much. Same with Griff. I don't think he's going to feature. And Edwards starting there, what's happening with him. So you're going to need another striker in anyway. Kyogo's obviously going to be the man leading the line, but as we've seen, Kyogo can play out and left, and you can play another striker through the middle as well. So this guy, I think Giamakis is how you pronounce his name.
Well done.
That's a guess. Just get half out his name. But I mean, we sort of briefly touched on it in the group chat as well. He finished the top goal scorer in the Dutch league last year, but his team got relegated. So for all the goals he was scoring, the team overall were dire. But we know that in the Dutch league you're still up against some decent competition. I mean, there's some still decent teams there, but he was setting records and everything else, and I watched a few videos of him, and he certainly looks like he knows where the goal is, and I think it could be quite a decent signing for us. I also heard that the Henry thing, I know that maybe that was the Henry coming in was banking on Edward being sold, but it looks like, or at least based on what I've read, reports in was it Belgium or wherever it is that it is, are saying that the deal to Genk is stalled or is off. So that's another option that somebody else to look at as well. Again, you don't know where we are in terms of these transfers. We can only go off what we're reading. But if it's true, then I think it's fantastic. I don't know much about the Skills boy either, but I think he also plays left back.
Yeah.
And left mid. So it's another option there, which is what we're needing. But again, I don't know too much about him. I don't know if he's the kind of quality we're needing or looking for, or if he's a one more for the future, like your Urigide and stuff like that is. But it means the fact we're bringing players in and we're adding depth to their positions is great. And I'm hoping that we still get another couple in before the end of the window.
Yeah, I think you make great points there. Come to yourself, William, in terms of obviously, as John touched upon, the right back position is something we've been crying out for. I still believe. I mean, I've been honest about this. Ralston won't be first choice going forward. He might be first choice for a while again while the new right back settles in. But once he takes hold of it, I think the Croatian right back will be the first choice. Liam Scales, he's predominantly a centre back. He's playing the League of Ireland, but he can play left back. Who was the other guy again? The striker, Georgios. What did you say it was, John?
Giamakis.
Giamakis, yes. Again, he finished top goal scorer in the Eredivisie, the Dutch league. So are you kind of excited by these signings coming in, William?
Yeah, I'm the wrong one to ask. When it comes to rumours, I'm wanting them in the stadium with the scarf above their head. But if that is all true, then yeah, it's all the positions that I feel we're looking for. It's looking more and more likely that we're going to keep hold of Eddie, which I'm fairly happy about. If that's the case, then I'm not so sure we need much strength in that up top, to be honest with you. I'd like to see Ayeti get. I mean, if you're going to have a third choice striker, then I think he's decent enough. Right back, we're screaming for. I agree the fact that I think Ralston's been absolutely immense, but in this team, with the way we play, you're going to need rotation. So the more quality players you've got in these positions, the better. Especially these wing backs, they probably work more than most in the team, so that would be great. I'm fairly happy with the squad. Obviously, we need a couple more additions. If we're getting the likes of last night, we're missing the likes of Christie, and we've still got young Dembele to come back, and Julian's on the mend, and he's coming back. So we're obviously in a much stronger position now than we were a few weeks back, and
yeah.
I think it's more about bulking up the squad now for more options and more rotation than getting somebody in for the first 11. So yeah, I mean, I'm on the positivity train. This is keep on running, choo.
Can I just say as well though that I think that what you said there at the end, William, was exactly spot on. It's the depth and having the options in their positions, because it's still very early doors, but the way it looks to be that we're playing and everything else, very high intensity. It's non-stop for 90 minutes, and at some point players are going to burn out and they're going to need a rest, and your injury risk is increased significantly as well. So you're hoping obviously none of that happens, but you need to have the pieces in place to account for that on the off chance it does. But like he says, having them there and that the rotation, being able to take them off in games and rotate your players and all that sort of keeps them fresher and everything else. So I think it's paramount that we make sure
100%. I think Ralston can't. That shift Ralston put in last night, he can't put in every Thursday and Sunday for the foreseeable future. It's impossible. So yeah, you need to get the depth in.
Mm-hmm. I think that show location must be rotation. The way you guys are speaking, but look, this train is going back into league action here against St Mirren on Saturday, and another game to look forward to, and a 3:00 kickoff. And instead of going too much in depth into the game, what way I think it's going to go, because I think we'll all agree. Let's be honest. I think we'll hammer St Mirren, but again, I'll touch wood again, and I won't jinx it. But we'll go straight into score predictions and lineup predictions, and I'll come to yourself, William, first. Lineup prediction first, and then your score prediction.
I think he'll go with the exact same lineup he played against Alkmaar. I'll not go into it. Everybody knows, and I think we'll win 4-1 with a Starfelt nutmeg in there.
Who are you going to score the goals?
Kyogo 2, Rogic, and Forrest.
And yourself, John? What are you going for?
I think it'll be a similar sign up to what it was against Hearts. I think we're going to do the Kyogo on the left again, Edward through the middle, Forrest on the right, or Abada on the right. But by and large, the same sort of team. And in terms of goals, I'd just pick a number out of hat, man. I think we're actually going to do some damage to St Mirren. Like, I don't think they're going to be able to cope with us at all. And I think they're going to. Wouldn't surprise me if we're hit another 5 or 6.
I would keep saying it, by the way, that we're going to roll over some teams this year. But see like that first half against Hearts. See if we play that against some teams, we're going into 7, 8s, and 9s.
Exactly, and this is what I'm saying. See if we play that first half against Hearts, against St Mirren. Nah, one of these days we're going to finish a game in double figures. That's how the style of football we're playing, the amount of possession we're keeping, the amount of chances we're having, it's inevitable. And at some point, one of these teams is going to be the unfortunate one. And that's no disrespect to your likes of St Mirren or your Hamiltons and stuff, whatever it is, whoever it is we're coming up against. It's somebody's getting it, and until then, I'm just going to predict it every week until it happens.
For me myself, I'm going to go for Celtic 7, St Mirren 1. I'm going to go pretty much the same lineup as we had. Maybe Eddie come back into play through the middle, as John said. I think that probably might go that way. Rest Dabba again, give Dabba a rest because he's only come back from injury. The goal scorers, Kyogo to get a hat-trick, Eddie to get 2, make sure I'm counting this right. Forrest to get 1, and then Stephen Wells to get 1. That's what I'll go with. But in terms of the main show, guys, that's just wrapped up. But I've brought back the quiz. The quiz come back with me. So we're going to fire into the quiz between John and William. Are you guys ready?
No, congratulations, William.
Thanks, bud.
So it's the same thing. You know the drill, guys. 5 questions, first to 3. Whoever answers the most wins it. Okay, nothing's ever too technical. So question 1: Celtic suffered a record European defeat in September 2016 against which club, and what was the score?
Bratislava 5-0.
No,
what was
suffered
the year?
a defeat.
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah. I thought it was Bratislava. I thought we won like 4-0. The
No.
leg.
Celtic suffered a defeat. Their biggest defeat in Europe.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I thought we got scudded the first leg. We won 4-0 second leg, but it wasn't enough. Beattie scored and all that. I thought it was Bratislava, no?
PSG.
Oh, yeah.
No, you've got one more guess.
Barca. Barcelona.
What's the score?
7-1.
Oh, I remember that. Aye.
I'll give you it, William.
6-1.
It's Barcelona. It's Barcelona 7-0, but you were close to 7-1. So
what was it? What was that PSG? It was more recent than that as well, wasn't
That was 6, I think.
Aye.
right. So question 2: in terms of matches, who is Celtic's shortest serving manager?
John Barnes.
That's 1 each. John's back in.
Good shout.
Question 3: at the age of nearly 37, name the oldest player to make a Celtic debut.
Oh, Ian Wright.
Freddie Longberg.
No.
Dion Dublin.
Yes, 2-1, Willie.
Just that name and all the X.
Question 4: in 1993, who replaced Liam Brady as manager?
Lou McCarry.
2 each. Whoever gets this next one wins here, boys. Let's go. Let's see. Celtic and Hibernian hold the record for the largest transfer fee between 2 Scottish clubs. Who was the player?
6 million, Scott Brown.
Oh, it wasn't 6 million, though, but I'll give you.
Scott
Four.
John-
It was 4 million.
John's won the
4?
quiz.
I thought it was with that. Did I win?
John, you won
I'm
the
not
quiz.
having that. You said 6 million.
But I didn't ask for the
He
fee.
didn't ask the
I didn't
value.
ask-
I'm going to do a Ross. I'm not having that.
So I think that's your second win in the quizzes, John, isn't it?
That's only my second die. Ross was the first.
Love it. But
I'm
here,
pretty,
guys,
I'm pretty sure I heard in there Alexa, who was a manager after.
you can hear John's voice picking up, can't you? You hear the smile on his face because he's won this quiz.
I wonder why he muted his mic.
It's just because I wasn't expecting it.
But look, guys, I mean, again, fantastic show. My first show back as host in about 3.5 weeks. And John, I appreciate all the work you do. And we always say we are going to go video soon, but again, that was delayed. Obviously, with things going on in my life, and obviously, I'm still getting up to speed with everything. And I appreciate all your guys' support. And John's done some fantastic work with all our graphics and all. They've all changed. I'm sure you noticed that. It's brilliant work. And have you enjoyed this one, guys?
Aye, it's been good having you back,
Superb, mate. Great to have you back. And the fact that we're talking about this now, when 3 months ago we were all despairing and pulling our hair out, well, you have got here. It's incredible we're at this point now, so it's been superb.
Yeah, and for actually anyone who does know, William, who's a show regular, he's a double the Philip Senderos who used to play for Rangers. So if you're going to send any comments, then call him Big Senderos. He loves it. But look, to everyone who's listening, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.